Just give it 1 second because I'm
Okay.
gonna get the live streaming up. Okay, you're good.
Okay, the meeting is now open at 7:03. Meeting is now open at 7:02. Would everybody like to look at the minutes and review them?
While they're looking at the minutes, I will make a notation that you have a quorum of the Beach Commission. We have by telephone communication Donald Maderas. Oops, actually, he just signed in. He was able to get a Zoom link in. We have Michael Focarelli, we have Patrick Canane, we have Joseph Mayato, and Bill Ryan, of course. So the record is clear that there was a full quorum.
Read the minutes, Joe, please.
Make a motion that we accept.
Joe?
Joe Mayato, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes from the meeting of July 8th, which had been corrected.
Do I have a second? Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Donald Maderas, can you unmute yourself?
Don Maderas, aye. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank
And
you.
let the record show that all 5 Beach Commission members voted in favor.
I'd like to make a motion, Joe Mayato, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of the meeting of July 21st, 2020.
Do I have a second?
Patrick Canane, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, okay?
Record shows it was unanimous.
Michael, would you like to read the agenda for me?
Look, really, first up on the agenda is correspondence. Update pertaining to a copy of an electronic mail from Sheila McIntosh to the town council expressing concern over the sanitary conditions surrounding Secaunet Harbor Beach, referred to this commission by the town clerk.
I think that the issue was so much referred to us by the town clerk, but that she informed us of it. This, I believe, went according to the minutes. Reference to the
So I think Donnie has, Donnie, didn't you, do you spoke with Tony?
That's correct. That's correct. What we did was Tony, the town council asked Tony to reach out to the Harbor Commission and the Beach Commission to see if we could figure something out to address that issue. And there was a little bit of email exchange back and forth, but for whatever reason, a meeting was never able to occur before our meeting. However, Tony recommended on Friday he sent a mass email to the Beach Commission, the Harbor Commission, and he recommended to take what I put forth as a suggestion that needs to be considered by the commission tonight, as to whether they think that's a good idea or not. But basically, I put forth as an idea for the commission to mull over tonight and possibly vote on either way, that we would fund just for the remainder of this season, we would fund a porta potty one down at the boat ramp to meet the sanitation needs of that area. And I think everybody knows the state is under the current COVID situation. They didn't put out porta potties at any of the trout ponds this year, at any of the boat launches. They're just not doing it because probably liability to keep them clean. However, we manage several porta potties at the beach. We do keep them clean. Jim has the staff sanitize them several times a day. That's what we would have to do here. With us putting one there for the remainder of the season comes the responsibility of sanitizing it several times a day. So we need to see if that's something the commission wants to do. How Jimmy feels, the beach manager, to work that into, the staffing. Obviously, it's going to cost some money, but my personal feelings are, as the beach commission, we should be, stepping up here. It's a timely issue. It's not permanent. It's just for the remainder of the season, kind of a stopgap measure until people can meet and maybe figure out a better long-term solution. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, and that's why I suggested this.
Joe Mayato, I think part of the difficulty is it's at like the exact opposite end of town, as far as proximity for doing that disinfecting. Jimmy, are your staff now disinfecting the other ones repeatedly during the day? What are your thoughts on it? What would be involved to get a staff member there?
We could do that.
I can't hear Jim. I don't know if other people can, but I can't hear Jimmy at all.
Now, that better?
That's better. Thank you.
Okay, it would entail taking 1 to 2 people off the beach 2 to 3 times a day. Go down there to basically wipe it down with hospital surgical sandy wipes. Keep an eye on it. If it can be done.
I don't really like the idea of taking people off the beach if something happens. Donnie, what are your thoughts on that?
I think, so we don't know, looking to the future, I mean, what's going to happen? Is the state going to next year decide to start putting the porta potty back? Can't we have a conversation with the Harbor Commission to see to it that whoever has its potty there, it's there and it's addressing some needs? I know it's coming out of the beach budget, but I think I think it's appropriate. It is an extra expense. It's an extra staffing. Yes, it's on the other end of town from the beach, and we're going to need to be there. However many times a day Jim thinks is the proper amount based on what he's doing at South Shore. I don't think so I guess in a nutshell, the way I'm looking at it is this: the state's not doing anything about it. People are the public's used to having a porta potty down there. And if there isn't one there, it's not surprising that people are going in the bushes, whether it's on the side of the harbor or on the side of the road, in the water. I mean, I don't know, but people have to be doing something because there are people there all day long and there are people there part of the night.
Yeah, I don't think that it's going to get the volume of use that the ones at the beach get, in terms of, we have several at the beach, but there's hundreds of people at the beach compared to, I don't know how many going down to the harbor there. But I don't disagree that it would be a good idea to do it, at least for the remainder of this year. We're only talking about another month. The only reservation I now, after discussing this, is I don't like the idea of losing somebody at the beach. Jimmy, who would that be? I mean, we're not gonna take a lifeguard out. Do we need two people to go?
Well, the thing is, the ones that do have the beach are the lifeguards. I don't know if anybody-
So just to interrupt, I can't really hear Jim, but I can hear the commission members very well. So maybe if you paraphrase what Jim says after he says it.
Yeah, he's moving, Donnie.
Basically, Donnie, what I was just saying is that it would probably be two people. I don't like sending less than two people to any detail. At the beach, the ones that do the sanitizing of the porta johns right now are the junior lifeguards. Most of them do not have licenses, which would be a secondary, issue. So thoughts were it would either be myself or one of the senior staff members would take them down there. I mean, it also would give us the advantage of keeping an eye on other beaches and stuff like that a little more often than we do right now. And
Well,
keeping an eye on Lloyd's and.
Jimmy, would you be willing to do that? Because the thing is, I don't really like the idea of having young kids driving around town while they're on, on our time, if something were to happen, if we got in an accident or something,
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe.
Would you be willing to do that, Jimmy, for the
I
next
have
one?
no problem with that. That's what needs to be done. Yep.
Thanks, Jimmy.
All right, and why don't you, we'll leave it up to you to gauge like the necessity of how often you think it needs to be done based on what you're seeing the use is. Can you contact the porta potty company and have them get another one down there? All right, I'm gonna make a motion that the beach commission finance a porta potty for the harbor, and that Jimmy make the arrangements for it, and he will also take care of disinfecting it. However, that is for the rest of this year only.
Through September 7th.
Through September, through Labor Day, and at the last day that we have the beach open. And that we make it clear that we are not taking this responsibility over from the state.
I'll second Don Maderas. And well, if there's not discussion, I'll wait. Any, Bill, discussion on that? We have a
Yep, that's
motion
what I
on
was
the
just gonna
table.
say. We have a motion on the table. Would you like to discuss more, Donnie?
Nope, I'm happy. I jumped in early, sorry.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second that. Don Maderas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Let the record reflect that the motion passed unanimously.
Okay. Okay, what's next on the agenda, please, Mr. Colorado?
Approval of the minutes of July 8th, we've done that, and
Yep.
July 21st, bills.
Bills have been paid, there were no unusual bills,
Questions?
nothing,
No,
Jimmy, nothing unusual different now.
and further discussion on review correspondence from CRMC regarding gate.
Yep, there's been nothing.
Regarding, well, it's about bills kind of, but this year we haven't had any requests. I know it's been a crazy year and everything. We haven't had any requests from you for capital expenditures on equipment needed. Are there any things that you have in mind that you'd like us to keep in
Originally,
mind?
last year, we looked at replacing some of the rescue boards.
Right.
We held off.
Because of the COVID thing and all the extra expenses this year? Hey, with what, yeah, safe,
It's safe, it's in usable condition, stuff like that.
Okay.
Will be a need in the
There will
next-
be a need, we will, by next year, need 3 boards.
as long as everything's safe right now, let's just hold off on that. in my opinion.
Anybody have a discussion on that? Okay,
Donnie, any news on CRMC?
No, we haven't heard anything. No more on the gate. They're waiting on us to address some comments they had with stormwater. management for the current permit, which in part is requesting to elevate the beach entrance. So they're waiting on the engineer to provide some calculations and whatnot so that they can continue their review. I'll call the engineer and ask him what's going on.
Excuse me, Donnie, does the engineer work for DEM?
No, he works for free for the town.
Okay, so we're holding off on that until we do that. Is that correct?
That's correct. I need to get the calculations together and send that along to CRMC so that we can continue the review and the process.
Okay. Well, thank you, Donnie.
Anything from TNC?
Nothing. I think I reported the last time. I had a conversation with John Berg, and he was straight out busy. So he was saying after August, in September, he would like to start meeting and discussing the situation. He'll have a member with him. We talked about last meeting of including the beach manager with myself and Bill Ryan to have those meetings. They're going to be by Zoom because that's Nature Conservancy's policy for the current COVID situation. So that's fine. We'll just have to do it by Zoom. But we're kind of just holding till the weather cools down in September and people have time to start meeting and discussing it.
Okay, so next is discuss objectives and info on subcommittee to assess town beaches, resident parking at said beaches other than South Shore. So I'm the liaison. I have not been contacted for any committee meetings. I will report that I bumped into a resident of Rhode Island Road that said that he's never seen Lloyd's Beach as crowded, that there are fires at night, and it seems like that beach is really, if it's not an issue now, it's coming up to be an issue. And I know that there was discussion at the council meeting about the parking and the right of way. Pretty soon we're going to have to make some kind of decisions about what is Lloyd's Beach and how do we as a town and a beach commission protect that beach for town residents. But the committee has, to my knowledge, the committee has not met. I think we have our esteemed clerk. Maybe he's going to weigh in on that.
I just want to clarify that, no, the committee has not met yet. Tony's been very busy with COVID.
I understand.
But you should understand that Lloyd's Beach is not owned by the town.
Correct.
We only have the right to use it.
The access.
So it's not our beach to manage in
That's
that
correct.
sense, which is where some of the problems lie. It's owned by someone different.
I think that primarily what we have there is a parking issue. And
Right.
so I think they need to address that. from the police perspective.
I can't hear you, Joe. Sorry.
Donnie, I was just saying that what we have there primarily is a parking issue and it's a police issue. It's not really a beach commission issue. As Carol pointed out, I was going to mention the same thing. We don't own that beach. The town doesn't own it. We can't charge people to go in. We can't staff it. We can't, they did, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to, the local residents there, whatever, used to have somebody there just making sure that people were town residents. I don't know if they're still funding that.
Well, before Mr. Whitehead passed away, he was the one that paid for that
That's
dog
correct. Yeah.
because he owned the property. After he passed, his widow did not want to continue that service. The Rhode Island Road residents have hired someone and put someone there, but there has been question whether or not that's even
What
legal
their
for them to
authority
do.
is, yeah.
They don't really have the authority to do that.
I think the bottom line is, I really don't think it's a beach commission issue.
And the parking issue is being handled with the
Yes.
police department.
No,
They're
the
doing a
parking-
very good job this year.
Yes, that's true.
So I'd say you just wait until Tony decides he has time to have a meeting.
Thanks.
Lloyd's is definitely an issue. Over the years, you just see more and more pressure, more and more people. So it's something that's gonna, hopefully, everybody can get together and figure out some way to control things. Cause it's, like you heard Mike say, the resident says now it's fires at night and things like that. So, you know, the secret's out, it's there. People are going there more and more, especially when the town beach is full. So whatever the
I think it's
solution
a
is,
police issue. It's not a town-owned beach, between the
But
residents and the.
It's also an access beach and we have the right to go on that beach. So how do you declare that it's not town owned?
Well, it's not town owned.
It's not town owned, but
not
we have the
town-owned.
right to
The
walk.
inhabitants have the right to use the beach.
That's
a-
correct.
That's a very old right given to us
That's
back
correct.
in 16 something. I think what's gonna have to happen at some point in the future is the property owner and the town is gonna have to try and work together to see if they can come up with some sort of a plan to try and maintain it as well as possible. You can't stop people from coming from the water, and
Right.
evidently, that's a big issue.
Some come in by boat, yeah.
So a lot are coming from boats, from what I understand. And we can only maintain the parking, which they're doing. But, you know, if a resident comes along, we can't police the beach. We can't put somebody there to say, you're not a town resident, you can't go on, because we don't have that right to do that.
I agree.
It really is the property owner, and at this point, this particular person is not willing to do that.
And even before, as you said, it really isn't necessarily legal that they were preventing people from going there, but it did work as a nice deterrent to keep the numbers down. I think what works as a deterrent now to keep the numbers down is the limited parking.
Mhm.
People can walk in from the neighborhood, that's fine, or come in by boats, there's nothing you can do about that. They can pull up to any beach, anywhere. But again, I don't think it's a beach commission issue. I think we should just put this aside.
Bill Ryan, I have a different perspective on it. I know we don't own the beach and it's called, am I right, Donnie? Is that called a barren beach?
I don't know, Bill, if that's a barrier beach or not, but it's
Because
certainly a
when-
beach.
No,
It's certainly a beach.
So we really don't know where that property line goes down to, do we?
So
you do.
in Rhode Island, private property goes to the high tide mark. So if the town doesn't own the beach, which we're hearing they don't, but the town has the right of access to the beach, then that means there's the right of access over land to get to the beach. And once you're on the beach and below the high tide mark, you're on you're on state property.
Right.
So the town has I think what we understand is the town has the right of access to the beach, but we don't own the beach.
Correct.
That's
Just like
correct.
we don't own South Shore Beach below the high tide mark. The
That's
state
correct.
owns that. But unlike South Shore Beach, we own land, we own the parking lot, the town does. So we have the means in the land, the high ground to park cars, to put lifeguard chairs, to guard the beach. Down at Lloyd's, if the town was going to consider something or anything, it's really, everything's got to be below the high tide mark. Otherwise, we're on private property, you see?
Right, and then you have the same sort of situation at Taylor's Lane.
So, well, not totally, because Taylor's Lane, I think the town owns, I believe Taylor's Lane is a town road. I know Taylor's
Yeah.
Lane South is private. But I think Taylor's Lane itself from West Main Road down to the river is
Yeah.
town owned, which means the town owns the land, not only so they have the right of access by virtue of them owning the land right down to the water. We don't own that. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know enough about Rhode Island Ave, whether that's a town road and it extends right to the high water mark. That hasn't been determined yet. So I think Carol's right on track that probably eventually any kind of solution would probably have to involve or would probably be best if it involved the town and the landowner to figure something out down there. I think the Nature Conservancy might have an easement over that property as well.
Yes.
Perhaps that is part of a management plan issue that the landowner, the easement holder, and the town figure something out, because it's the discouraging thing down there is things like that tend to get overused. Where are people using sanitary facilities down there, and people are trampling dune grass. I mean, the more pressure you get that's unregulated, it really takes a toll on the environment.
Do you believe there's a lot more non-taxpayers that walk on that than taxpayers?
I don't know, Bill. I get down there once in a while on the weekends when it's the heaviest pressure. I see a lot of town plates out on West Main Road and down Rhode Island Ave. I really can't speak to, and I haven't been looking for it to see, but it seems like what we understand is that access is for town residents and not necessarily for non-town residents. But that's what I understand at this time. I don't know if that's entirely accurate or not.
Because I think that was just for town residents that live in Little Compton, that they could access that beach, as well as Taylor's Lane. And there's a few other spots that are iffy on that nobody really picks up on.
Yeah, so again, Taylor's Lane, definitely town access because the town owns the road right down to the high tide mark. Same thing with Town Way, same situation.
Yep.
So we don't know if that's the same situation with Rhode Island Ave. But I agree, I believe you are correct that the town, there's a right of way for town residents to get down Rhode Island Ave to the shore, which means to get below the high tide mark. And then once you're below the high tide mark, you're there. You can walk wherever you want as long as you stay below the high tide mark.
Well, that's not 100% accurate, because in the Roch deed back in the 1600s, it gave the inhabitants of the town the right to use that beach. So once you cross over that property, where we have our granted right, you don't have to stay behind the low tide mark to be.
Oh, okay.
Right.
You get to use the beach. I see that someone wants to speak. Do you want to hear from that person now?
Could you, before you let somebody speak, could you clarify that a little more, Carol, what you were just saying about the Roch deed?
Well, the Roch deed gave the inhabitants of the town of Little Compton the right to use Lloyd's Beach. So it is clear that it's for the inhabitants of Little Compton, and it's not meant for anyone who is not a Little Compton resident.
Okay, and in the terms of use the beach, the beach could be considered not just below the high tide mark, but the beach itself as a geographical type feature.
Well, the deed did not say you needed to stay below high tide. It says
Okay,
the inhabitants had the right to use the beach.
great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Cheryl?
Hi, Cheryl Katie. Don, I was just going to speak to that. I wondered if anyone on the committee had spoken with Dick Humphrey, the town solicitor. At a previous meeting of the town council, Lloyd's Beach was brought up, and he discussed some past court actions that had been taken, and that the deeds go as far as to say where inhabitants could graze their horses, and that there was definitely unfettered access to the beach and to that area. So I'm wondering if anyone has spoken with Dick Humphrey.
Well, before this goes too much farther, the intent of that committee.
Correct.
That was supposed to be a representative from the beach commission and a representative from the council, which was supposed to be the town administrator. The town solicitor was supposed to be involved in that particular conversation, and that was the intent of that committee. So I almost get the feeling like you're trying to recreate something that's already been done.
Right.
You just need to wait for that committee to get together to review what legal rights are out there with the solicitor, and then decide what needs to go from there.
Correct.
Very good.
Michael Fogarelli, I was just reporting on the agenda item of the, reporting on the committee.
Right.
So the committee, I'm sure that we'll come to a greater understanding of what the situation is down there, and then that will inform what our actions are.
Great. We'll have to wait and see on that one. And what's the next one?
Further communications with TNC about the dog policy. Discuss possibility of residents calling the night before to reserve a parking spot.
So I think this is Don Maderas. I think I put an item on the agenda just as a kind of like a primer about how we, maybe some improvements we might be able to make for next season. So I was just kind of just trying to get it out there for maybe people to start thinking about, are there any things we can be doing better to make the access better for residents? And just any overall improvements. What I was wondering is, are we interested in doing something like upgrading the website? So we might be able to thereby allow residents to book spots the night before. I mean, there's specifics and details you'd want to go through to hash out, but it's just at this time, is there any interest in trying to see if we can do something like that? I mean, we could have a phone scan. We could have a scanner at the beach where you come in with your phone, scan it, you prepaid for your ticket, that kind of thing. Still keep the resident spots available that we do now on a first come first serve basis. But if town residents don't want to, can't get on the beach early in the morning to get one of those safe spaces, why not allow them the opportunity to reserve a space online the night before? With that, though, I would say would come a modest fee for the privilege of doing that. Yeah, you're a resident, you've got free spaces, but if you want to make sure you're guaranteed a spot, you can come down at 2 PM. Why not have something in place where they can pay for that spot ahead of time and not have to worry about whether they can get on the beach or not?
Well, Donnie, I'm going to express my opinion, and I think that's that of the beach manager. And I think we should give him our full support in this, that would cause way too much confusion. People could be booking spots and not show up. You're saving spots, you're restricting other people that actually go there the way we've done it for years and years. First come, first serve. That's my opinion.
No.
Michael Fogarelli, I think that for this beach season, we have our hands full with just managing the rules and regulations that we have. And I would suggest that we maybe discuss this at some of our winter meetings after we see how the rest of this season wraps up. But I agree with you, it could really cause a lot of confusion and maybe even more bad feelings than we have now.
I don't care about their bad
I
feelings.
agree with you. I think it would, this is all new, right? So
Good, so I agree, that's best left for later. And like I said, just throwing it out there, I think there are different ideas that can be bounced around, and after bouncing it around, if it's a bad idea, then that's what it is, and we move on. So I'm happy that you guys allowed me to bring it up, and let's mull it over and revisit it later in the season, in the winter.
Donnie, just to address your thing, again, throwing ideas out there, that's the way we make things better and stuff. Just because we say you don't like it doesn't mean you shouldn't keep throwing ideas out there. Beaches, there is not a beach in this country that runs perfect that keeps everybody happy. There's always going to be somebody, well, why couldn't I get in at 2 o'clock on a 90-degree Saturday? I mean, I deal with hundreds of beaches through USLA and their issues. We do a webinar every 2 weeks with beaches from all over the world and their issues. I'm talking about what they do, you know, with COVID and what's going on, that sort of thing. And we can go even locally. I mean, look at like Middletown. You pay $70 for a single sticker there, and you're not guaranteed to get in anytime, anywhere. People pay nothing for their stickers here. And I think personally, the residents of Little Compton have a very good deal though. There's very few of them that we actually turn around. Yes, 10 o'clock on a 90-degree Saturday, we're gonna be turning people around no matter what we do. And again, it's the nature of the beach. And again, this is the way beaches are. There's 3,000 residents and 200 parking spots. There's no way we're gonna fit them all in unless we get a really good carpool system going.
All right, thank you, Jim. Do we have a report on the agenda from the beach manager, just to give us an idea how things are going at night down there with the security detail? What's going well? Is there anything not going well?
Again, one of the things that was listed on is what are we going to do September 8th? How we're going to manage social distancing and that sort of thing at the beach once there's not a staff down there. And this is, again, is for discussion over the next few meetings. As far as the way things have been going at night and down there, it has never been better down there. I really, really, really want to push for maintaining what we're doing now with the nighttime. Residents only from 4 o'clock on. Residents respect the property of the beach down there, and they take care of it. We haven't cleaned up one broken beer bottle since the beach opened this year. That used to be a regular Saturday, Sunday event, cleaning up not just one, up to hundreds of beer bottles. We haven't had problems with fires. I haven't had been called back to the beach once this summer. So again, the nighttime, having a shift, having detail down there, I'll eliminate it to sticker holders and residents. You have people that are invested in the beach. It really shows.
I've got to agree with that, Jimmy. I've been down there several times at night, and the guys are doing a great job. They're going around, they're at the gate. They're really doing a good job. And I for one, we can talk about it over the winter, but I, for one, think it's worth the investment and would like to see it, even though we just found out about we ran into this because of the COVID. But I, for one, would push for continuing that for next year.
So would I.
And I think on the same vein, in the morning from 5 a.m. to 8, that allows town residents opportunity, their first shot at getting on the beach.
I think it's working really well. They've been doing a great job.
Yeah, I've been down there a few times at night, and it seems like the crowd of people that are there, they have a vested interest in the beach. I mean, it's people enjoying themselves, and they want to be there. They're happy to be there, and they appreciate that they're there. And that makes a big difference.
I agree. I've been down there at night, and it just seems civilized. Yeah, it seems civilized, and and nothing good happens after 11 o'clock. So I think I would be in favor of continuing that for next year.
Again,
Sure.
These are discussions.
Yeah.
over the winter.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
One discussion that's going to have to come up before that is what we're going to do to maintain. We still have a responsibility to maintain social distancing and things like that. run into situations where if we end up with a 90-degree Saturday in September, what are we gonna do? You know,
What have we done in the past?
nothing, you know? We have had times when that beach has been completely full. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen.
It does that.
So Jim, I'm having trouble hearing you, but are you talking about once the beach season is over?
Yeah,
You're
after
saying if we get a few hot weekends that extend into the late summer or early fall?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna have an issue, although with COVID and the amount of people out of work right now, I don't think we're gonna have problems with weekdays to weekends. And again, I talked a little bit with Bill about, I would make myself available, if we leave like the shack down there, the meters, to just basically man the shack, you know, and basically make it either residents only or limit the number of cars and stuff like that, because that's what we're gonna need to do. We're gonna need
Right.
to limit the number of
So essentially keep the security detail on, but the beach would still be unguarded.
unguarded.
So unguarded, but so then therefore it would be residents only, is that correct?
I don't know. I don't know how you guys feel
was-
about that. I mean, maybe residents only might be the way to go. Keep it from getting.
Well, okay, so I think the issue is if we're collecting money, it has to be guarded. So if the beach season's over, we're not taking money, then it wouldn't necessarily, residents and non-residents wouldn't really be distinct in that the beach is closed, it's now just open, we're controlling,
It may be just for
monitoring the
people-
number of people that are actually on there to continue with the social distancing.
Yeah, and again, it may be just somebody counting cars. You know,
And maybe that would just be, say, for the month of September. I think once you get past September, you're not gonna get that
Right.
issue.
It's so,
Right.
And again, it may be something, like I said, I'm willing to sit there and volunteer putting in, you know, weekend time and stuff like that. If in the event we end up with a in summer weekend, you know, that's okay,
As needed.
as needed.
as needed.
All right, and I think, well, you know what, I'm gonna make a motion that we support Jimmy with that, and that if he feels that he needs another staff member from the security group to staff based on the weather and so forth, that you think that it's necessary, that he has to.
Can we make a motion on that, or should we put it on the
I was
agenda?
doing
to
it,
discuss for the meeting? I'm having trouble hearing you, sorry.
No, that's all right, Donnie. I just did make a motion.
For the next agenda, to put it on the next agenda? My question, maybe I'm not thinking about this right, but can we be voting on this tonight, or should we, I know we're discussing it, it's like a new topic. Should we put it on the agenda?
Actually, no, because it is on the agenda. It's on the
Oh, it
agenda.
is,
for
okay.
there. It says what happens
All
after.
right, I don't have the agenda, I'm sorry, I'm far away, I don't have it in front of me. Thank you, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's all right. It's a good point, but I think we're covered.
Okay.
So I'll second Joe's
Well, hold
motion.
on, discussion here. And we're only gonna do this for townspeople, turn other people away on that hot weekend.
Well, there'd be sticker holders.
Sticker holders and townspeople. But anybody just
What do you think,
watch.
Jim?
So the question would be, are we just counting cars, or are we just letting in, or non-residents not being let in? Is that the question?
Non-residents, no,
So we wouldn't be taking any money at the gate,
at
Donnie.
all.
We would, they would
Correct.
only be current sticker holders That would-
And residents.
and residents.
It would basically be the security patrol that we have now, doing the same thing that we do when they're on security.
Would it be the
Correct.
same hours?
What's that?
I would say we're probably gonna have to do like
And the gate would be shut in the morning?
the gate, at least, probably still wants to do 11 and 5, close the gate while the state of emergency is still-
So that's okay. So it'd be the same as it is now, but no lifeguards and we're not collecting money.
Right.
But we're controlling access so we don't get over abundance of cars there. It's still open at 5 in the morning till 11 at
Until
night.
11 at night.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's a police, so yeah, so that's.
And Michael Fogarty, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries.
I have one more thing. It's not, sort of two things, but it's not on the agenda.
Well, put it on
But
the
I
agenda.
think it's something that we have to address, just, I mean, not really address to vote on or anything, but maybe to get an idea from Jimmy how we want to handle it. Actually, two things. So the first thing, I want to thank Jimmy very much for volunteering to go down and clean the toilet, basically, at the point. That's actually, that he did that in this current situation. But the second thing is, with the storm coming, Jimmy, just wondering what plans we have. Is there any?
Okay, the basic plan, we have talked with the police department already. Tomorrow, like, storm light, I'm all over here, keep Carol talking, basically, we do have a plan in place. Tomorrow, we will have a staff on, does not look like we're gonna be getting much rain out of the storm now. Looks like it's gonna be fairly light, just wind.
West.
Yeah. Bigger end of the surf is gonna come later tomorrow, from 6 o'clock on. So we will be keeping the security detail on. Basic rule of thumb that we started talking with the police department about is if we have waves in the lot, we will shut the lot down. It would be the police department that does that. I don't see that happening with this storm, even though we have a moon tide. The tides are coming at the right time, but I don't think that's gonna happen. But in the event that it does, we will be calling the police department, ask them to make the call on. They will.
So no different than any other time, any other storm.
Having trouble hearing, guys, sorry.
I just said, so no different than any other time, regardless of the COVID situation. This is just if there's an emergency and the parking lot's underwater, the police department, for safety reasons, wants to shut it.
Want to shut it down. We'll shut the gate. Again, I do not foresee that happening with what I can see from the information we've got at this point in time. But again, just from past experience, if we get one wave in the parking lot, and we've had times we've had one wave and then never had another one, but we've had times where all of a sudden within a half an hour, we're up to our hubs in water. So again, that's basically being safe.
So you'll be working with the police department.
Yes, yep.
All right.
Police department will be making the call when we close the gate.
Okay. Have any other discussion ideas that we'd like to put on the agenda for the next meeting? Please present it.
Correspondent things I need to go over with, Amanda Morton sent an email in to the beach email, the rest of you guys about, dealing with the dress code at the beach. Whether her children saw some things that they probably should not have seen. Did sort of reach out to her and tell her that there's absolutely nothing we can do. As long as they're covered, there is no sort of regulation on that. DEM also is behind.
What was the name of this person?
Amanda Morton, I think it was.
Yeah.
So again, just making you guys aware of that. I will reach back out to her and say, again, I don't think they like seeing that 300-pound guy with a Speedo on either, but there's nothing much we can do about it.
Yeah, I play croquet with the speaker.
We had one other correspondence
That's
from
right.
the gentleman that had asked before about September 19th using South Shore for his wedding with a reduced plan. He's reached back to me and also asked, what about Town Landing? Can you do there? I don't think that would be our forte. That would be yours, so reach out to you guys. All right, so again, he's asking about whether South Shore, I think they're far enough along, tell him that South Shore would probably be okay. Reach out to you, Carol, as far as Town Landing is concerned.
I need a limited number of.
Limited numbers, yeah.
After the beach is closed.
And a donation. Okay, would anybody like anything on the agenda? How about you, Patrick? Good. Donnie, would you like something on the agenda for the next meeting?
I have nothing at the moment, thanks.
Colorelli?
I'm good.
Jose?
I'm good.
Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to adjourn, Don Maderis.
Do I have a second?
Canane, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Motion carries. Good night.
Good night, thank you.
So next meeting, next.
Oh, yeah.
It's too late.
No, you can schedule a meeting. That's not a problem.
That's a Saturday, the 18th. Which is good for you, Carol.
August 18th.
Oh, I'm in July.
August 18th is a Tuesday.
I'm in July.
Are we good for that one, Carol?
Yeah, at this point, I do not have another meeting that night.
All right, book us.
So that's Tuesday, the 18th,
Yep.
Yes.
okay, 7 PM.
Please be present.
I will do my best.
All right. Beach Commission.
Although it's fun heckling from the peanut gallery, this is a different perspective.
Hang up on that guy.
All right.